Hi everyone, thanks so much for listening to this wherever you are. This is just going to be a few minutes. I'm thinking about what prayer means to me now, and what straight away came into my mind was two pictures, which, because we're on video, I can actually show you. They're very, very different, these two. So this is the first one, if you can see, Rembrandt's painting The Return of the Prodigal Son. That's over 300 years old. The other one is only about 30 years old, from a children's book, and that's Guess How Much I Love You by Anita Jerram. And I think they came into my mind because they remind me about prayer being something to do with connecting, relationship, love, those things about it which are really, really like at the basis of it for me. Especially now when I can't always think of the words to pray, or I find the routine a bit more difficult because of how things are at the moment. It's a kind of safe place, a good place to be. So what I'm doing is, in the morning, come down right at the beginning of the day, I go and stick my head outside the front door, just breathe a few breaths, get to be in touch with the world. I think that reminds me about Jesus doing something like going out in the morning early to a place to pray, to be with his Father. And then I go in a room, and I often now start off with 10 minutes, set the timer on my phone, of just complete silence, to tune in to being, knowing that I'm in with God. It's tuning out all the noise outside, the noise in my head of what am I going to do today? What have I got to do? And just resting in the presence of God, knowing that he loves me. That's a bit like the rabbit looking at the other rabbit. And it's a kind of contemplative prayer which has been around for many centuries. I guess we lost it a bit, but it's being rediscovered quite a lot. So I use that, and then that will kind of lead me into praying. Now I'm using an app on my mobile, Lectio 365, which it starts off with a psalm, a reminder to be thankful, which is great. And then it'll actually read you a Bible reading. And I like listening to it because it's not like looking on the screen, which is a worky kind of doing thing. And then it leads you to some silence and to pray. They read the passage twice, which is great. It more sinks in the second time. And the prayer will often then be, I'm praying for people or situations. But it's probably more now just to bring the names of the people or the thing to God, so that, because I know that he knows what they need, I'm just kind of bringing them into his presence as well. And I do use a notebook now, because I might, otherwise I forget what I've said to people I'll pray for. So I jot things down, and I found an old notebook from way back when I was 18. I was at medical school. It was really encouraging reading back the ways that a load of those prayers were answered over a long, long time, or ways I didn't really expect. So that helps me. Yeah, and the other things that help me are having that rhythm. So trying to stick with that even when I don't feel like it. That's when I need it even more, just to be in God's, be there, know that I'm loved. And I have a little alarm that goes off on my phone. Used to be at 1 o'clock between my two surgeries, but now it's midday for praying the Lord's Prayer. Just to stop and do a few breaths and pray that. And I also found sometimes in the evening using the Compline, an evening prayer from the Northumbria community just before I go to sleep. And the other really helpful thing that helps me loads is praying with other people, a prayer triplet or twosome, especially when I don't feel like praying, or I can ask them to pray for me. and managing to kind of adapt to doing that with WhatsApp is a bit tricky, but it is kind of coming. I'm thinking this all sounds like it's so hunky-dory, this prayer thing, and it's not. It's so often, oh, I can't do it, and I want to do it. But then I come back to that painting, like the prodigal son is the returning, the coming back, and knowing that God's really racing out to meet me even before I even get to praying. He wants me to come back. And that's the other one, just to be there. I suppose that's like the Abba Father prayer that Jesus taught us to pray for, Abba Father, and the Lord's Prayer. So those are things that have really encouraged me to hope that is helpful. Bye, everybody.